Okay, ladies and gents of Year 9, this was your end of Year 9 exam, and what I'm asking you to do now is to go through your exam and make all the corrections as well as the workings. Now, it's worth remembering that when you do this, this was all the work that you did, this is a recap, sorry, of all the work that you did in Year 9, so understanding this prepares you fantastically for your final exam. Anything that you don't understand, feel free to get in contact with me. You can go onto the Facebook page, which is RescorlaMaths, or you can leave a comment, or you can just come and see either myself or any of your teachers at school. But the important thing is just to do that extra bit of work in Year 9, so that in Year 10 you don't need to do quite so much, and when it comes to Year 11 you're well prepared to get your grade 5 or grade 6 or anything even higher for your exam. But it's not going to be done without hard work, so that's what we're going to do with this video. So the first question was not only to work out what x is, but also to give a reason for your answer. And notice that they've put this in bold, giving reasons for your answer. So that means every time you do another angle on the diagram, you've got to explain why you've done that. So for instance, this one here, we know is 54 degrees. And we'd say this is because angles on a straight line add up to 180 degrees. So if you know that this one's 54 degrees, then also this one here will be 54 degrees. And you can say that these two are corresponding angles. Now, the reason they're corresponding angles is because they're on the same side. So this one here is just underneath this line. This one here is just underneath this line. And notice that the two lines that are referred to are parallel lines. If we'd have talked about this one here and this one here, the sides alternate. So it goes from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. So they'd be alternate angles. So because they're on the same side, they're corresponding angles. So that's how you get your 3 marks for that one. Question 2, let's actually make this a little bit smaller so we can see. Also get rid of all of the writing. Okay, so Matthew makes 30 pancakes. Work out how much flour he uses. This is the ingredients for 10 pancakes. So for 30 pancakes, it's going to be 3 times as much. So 120 grams equals 10 pancakes. So for 30 pancakes, you're going to need 3 times as much. That's going to be 360 grams. Now, Tara makes some pancakes. She uses 750 mils of milk. Work out how many pancakes she makes. So now again, it's all about writing down the information. So if you write down that 300 mils equals 10 pancakes, 600 mils equals 20 pancakes. Now if we add on another 300, that's going to make 900, which is going to be too much. So if we know that 300 mils makes 10, 150 mils will make 15. So if we then add the 150 to the 600, that's going to make 750. We end up with 750 mils is, oh sorry, that's not 15 at all, is it? Sorry, that should just be 5. I just want to make a mistake. And so if you add these two together, 750 mils is going to be 25 pancakes. Okay, question 3. Now this one, it's really important that when you do this, it's worth 2 marks, you see down here. So it means that you're going to get 1 mark for doing working. So what I would do is I would do the top of the fraction and the bottom of the fraction separately. So 7.1 take away 2.48. 7.1 take away 2.48 is 4.62 on the bottom. And if you do the square root of 40.96, you get 6.4 on the top. Now sometimes that'll be 6.4, sometimes it'll be a load of decimal places. So what I do is I just write down all the decimal places on the calculator. So then we've got 6.4 over 4.62. So if we do 6.4 divided by 4.62, we get 1.385281385, and your calculator might give you slightly more, slightly less, depending on how good your calculator is. But always do the top first of all, then the bottom, because then you know you're going to get at least one of these 2 marks. Okay, question 4. Draw an ordered stem and leaf diagram. So when we do this, again, remember the key as well. So we have a look from the smallest to the biggest. So we've got some in the 70s. Have we got any in the 60s? That doesn't look like it. So I'll start off with the 70s and 80s, 90s, and then hundreds. Let's have a look at all the ones that are in the 70s. So that's 70, 70, 70s. I think that's all the ones in the 70s. So if you write those in order, that's going to be 1, 3, 8. Okay, let's have a look at all the ones in the 80s now. So 80, 80, 80, 80, and 80. So if we write those in order, that's 1, 4, 4, 7, 8. Let's have a look at the 90s. Again, you could sort of always cross them out just to make sure. So 90, 90, 90, 90, 90, 90, 90, and 90. So starting off with the smallest, it's going to be 91. Then we've got a 2, 3, 5. And then 6, 6, 6, 8. And finally we've got 100, 101, 103, 104. And what I'd then do is just count how many numbers I've put in my diagram, and also make sure it's the same as the number up here. So there's 20 pieces of data here, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So because there's 20 pieces of data there, chances are I haven't made any mistakes. So what I then do is I've got to do my key, and you just choose any of the pieces of data. If I choose the first one, I'd write down that 7, 1 means 71. I could say means 71 centimeters, because that's what the number represents. Okay, so now we're going to find the median height. So what we're going to do is we're going to cross off the smallest and the biggest. There's other ways of doing this, but this is quite an easy way. So if you cross off the smallest and the biggest, and you keep going, so smallest and the biggest, smallest and the biggest, smallest and the biggest. If you get cocky, you can do small, 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 big, 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 just to make it a little bit quicker. So smallest and the biggest, smallest and the biggest, and we're left with 2 here. So we've got to find, say, 92 and 93 are the 2 middle values. So we've got to find what's halfway between those 2, which is 92.5. Now, there's a lot of people that drop that mark. Okay, next question is all about circles. So the 2 things you've got to remember with circles is that the area equals pi times radius, or pi r squared, and circumference equals pi times pi diameter. And rather than just trying to learn those and just, whenever you see a circle question, multiply pi times whatever the number is by whatever the number is, try and work out what it is that it's looking for. So here is the circumference, so it's got to be pi times diameter. So circumference equals pi, and the diameter is all the way across, which here is 9. So it's going to be pi times 9. You've got to give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. So if we type in 9 pi, we get 28.2743388. So to 3 significant figures, that's going to be these 3 here, and then we see whether or not we round it up. And the 7, the next one, tells us to round it up or keep it the same, and that's going to round it up. But the answer is going to be 28.2. No, sorry, let's try that again. We're going to round it up to make it 28.3. So despite being a math teacher, I do make mistakes, but the important thing is just to make sure you go through it slowly enough so that you can spot them. Okay, Keith and Graham share £105 in the ratio 4:3. So whenever we share stuff in the ratio, what we do is we need to add the ratio up. So that's going to be 4 parts, which is Keith's share, and you've got 3 parts, which is Graham's share. So that's going to be 7 parts in total. So what we're doing is we're sharing £105 in 7 parts. So then what we need to do is we need to work out what 1 part is. So if 7 parts are 105, divide through by 7. So 105 divided by 7 is 15. So 1 part equals £15. And we want to know how much Keith gets. Now Keith, well, this bit here, so he gets 4 parts. So if 1 part is 15, 4 parts equals £60. So we say that Keith gets £60. And the next question wasn't done very well at all. So most people have to do the corrections for this one. So what we've got to do is, it costs £2.56 to cover each square metre with tarmac. Work out the total cost of the tarmac bill needs. What we need to do is we need to work out the area of this. So when we've got a shape like this, let's break it down to different shapes. So this one here is 30 by 80. So 3 times 8 is 24, and there's 2 zeros. So we've got 2,400 metres squared. And next we've got this one here, and this isn't 60 by 40 because the height of this here, the height of the whole of it is 60, but we're taking off this length here, which is 30, which means this is going to be 40 times by 30. So 4 3s are 12, with 2 zeros stuck on the end. And then we've got our triangle here. Now, triangles are base times height divided by 2. So this here is 80 all the way across, and take away this 40, so this is going to be 40. And as we said earlier, this is 30. So the area of this is going to be 40 times by 30, 40 times by 30, divided by 2. Now 4 times 3, so 4 times 30 is going to be 1200, divided by 2 is 600. So we've got 2,400, we've got 1,200, and we've got 600. So we need to add those together. So 0, 0, 2, we've got 4,200 metres squared. Now each metre squared is going to be £2.56. So we've got to do £2.56 times by 4,200. And even if you knew you had to do that, write it down anyway, because just in case you make a mistake, you're going to make sure that you pick up those marks. So 4,200 times by 2.56. Let's try it again. My fat finger's got in the way. 2.56. And you end up getting 10752. So it's going to cost 10,752. Wow, to tarmac this playground. And again, it's not a hard question, but you've got to take it step by step. And by taking it step by step, you're going to pick up the marks. 4 marks is a lot to lose. Okay, question 8 was about fractions and percentages. So there's 2 ways of doing this. The quick way is to work out what 65% is as a decimal. So 65% is 0.65. And so 65% of 8,420 is 0.65 times by 8,420. And that equals 5,473. Of course, there are other ways of doing that, and we'll have a look at those. So 10% of 8,420 equals 842. Now, you've got a calculator, so 60% is going to be 6 lots of that. That's going to be 5,052. That's what 60% is. 5% is going to be half of this. That's going to be 421. Then add those together, 3, 7, 4, 5, and you still get 5,473. So that's what 65% is. And then we've got a fifth of the customers which pay by credit card. So 65% of these people pay by debit card, a fifth of them pay by credit card. So to find a fifth of something, we just divide it by 5. So 8,420 divided by 5 is 1,684. So we've got this many people pay by credit card, this many people pay by debit card, and the rest pay by cash. So if we do 5,473 plus 1,684, we get 7, 5, carry the 1, 1, carry the 1, 7. So 7,157 people pay by card, and we've got to take that away from 8,420. Now, of course, you can do this on a calculator. I'm just going through the longhand method. So 0 take away 7 we can't do, so we make that a 1. 10 take away 7 is 3. 1 take away 5 we can't do, so we borrow from that one, make it 11. So 11 take away 5 is 6. 3 take away 1 is 2. 8 take away 7 is 1. So 1, 2, 6, 3 people, and they pay by cash. Okay, now question 9. You've got to recognise question 9 as a two-way table question. A lot of people did it the quicker way, but that only works very occasionally. Most of these questions you'll need to draw a table. So we've got a two-way table, and the two variables here are boys and girls, and you either play football, hockey, or tennis. And what we're going to do, we've got totals. We're going to work out whatever we need to work out. So 120 students are on the activity day. So there's 120 students in total. 30 of them are boys, which means that 90 of them are going to be girls, and that's going to get you 1 mark. 12 of the boys and 26 of the girls play hockey. So 12 boys playing hockey, 26 girls playing hockey. So that's 38 in total. 45 of the students play football. 35 of the 45 students who play football are girls. So 35, and that one would be 10. So therefore, we want to know the number of girls who play tennis. That's going to be this box here. Now we know this plus this one adds up to 90. So 35 plus 26, 1 carry the 1, 61 girls play either football or hockey. And if we do 90 take away 61, that leaves us with 29 who play tennis. So the answer here is 29. And again, feel free to pause it, to go back, just go through the argument step by step to make sure you've got this table written out for yourself as well. And it makes it a lot easier. Because these questions come up all the time. That's why they're in your test. Okay, next one. So we had to plot 146 and 41 on the scatter diagram. So 146 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is there? Isn't tracking properly. And 41. And notice that this one here isn't 41. Because if that was 41, 42, 43, 44, 45 would be there. But we know that 45 is up here. So what we've got to do is we've got to make sure that 41, it goes up every 2. So it's going to be 41, 42, 43, 44, 45. So 41 is there. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we are looking at that there. No, sorry, if we go up, it's got to be 2 squares up. So we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what we're looking at there. Now, describe the relationship. The next question says, describe the relationship between the height and the weight of these students. Whenever it goes up like this, in this direction, that's what we call positive correlation. What that means is that the bigger this is, the bigger this is. So you could say that students that have a bigger height weigh more. And then what we've got to do is we've got a student has a weight of 47.5. We've got to estimate the height of the student. So whenever we have a scatter diagram, I would always do a line of best fit. I'll do it with a ruler, but the ruler don't tend to work that well on here. Let's give that a better go. So yeah, about right. And it says, going back, weight of 47.5. So 47.5 is right there. So it's halfway between 45 and 50. I then go down, and I would say that height is 157. I think you got the mark for saying anywhere between 156 and 157 for that one. No, so 156 and 158, I believe, was the marks. Okay, so moving on to the next question. Is the algebra stuff. So now what we've got is we've got y's on both sides. We've got letters on both sides here. So what we're going to do is we can't have less on both sides. We've only got to have them on one, so we're going to get rid of this 2y. So if we get rid of, imagine this like a set of scales. If we get rid of 2 y's from this side, to keep it balanced, we need to get rid of 2 y's from here. So if I get rid of 2 of these y's, I'm going to have 2 y's left. So it's going to be 2y plus 3 equals 14. Now again, this needs to be a set of balanced scales. So if I get rid of this 3, I've got to get rid of 3 from this side to keep it balanced. So 2y is going to equal 11. If 2 y's are 11, 1 y is going to be 5.5 or 5.5. Okay, next one. What we need to do for part B is we need to multiply out the brackets. So we're going to need to do 3 lots of x and 3 lots of 5, which gives us 3x minus 15 equals 21. Now what we need to do is we need to get rid of this minus 15. And the way we get rid of minus 15 is we do the opposite to the other side. So we've got to add 15 to this side. If I do that, I'm going to get 3x equals 36. And what that means is 3 x's are 36, so I need to work out what 1x is. And so I divide by 3, and I get 1x, that's 12. And you can always check to see whether or not you've got the correct answer, because you can substitute your answer back in. So if we do 3 lots of 12 take away 5, well 12 take away 5 is 7, yeah, it's 7. 3 lots of 7 equals 21. So we know we've got the correct answer. Now, question 11, also 11c. N is an integer. Integer just means a whole number. So n here is between 4 and minus 3. So we've got to write down all the numbers that are in between 4 and minus 3. So minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. Now sometimes we'd include 4, but that's only if there's a line under, sorry, it's not tracking very well. So if it said less than or equal to 4 like that, we'd include 4. But because this time it doesn't have that line underneath, it just says it is strictly less than 4, we can't have 4 there. So it's all the numbers that are in between minus 3 and 4. Next one, question 12. Okay, factorize. Whenever you see factorize, you've got to remember the same thing. It's put into brackets. So sometimes it's going to be 2 brackets. And that's if it looks like, if you've got like an x squared, a something x, and then a number on the end, then that would be 2 brackets. Unless it looks like this, or unless it's x squared minus and then a square number, then that would be 2 brackets. Any other time, it's just going to be the 1 bracket. So we have 1 bracket here. And we've got to find something that goes into this thing and also goes into this thing here. So the number 3 goes into both of them. We take the 3 outside. Now 3 times something makes 3x. So that something must be x. Then 3 times something makes a 6. So 3 times 2 makes a 6. So it's going to be 3 lots of x plus 2. Okay, now we're going to do the opposite of that for this one. So we start off and we do 5 lots of y and then 5 lots of minus 2. So 5 lots of y is simply 5y. 5 lots of minus 2 is going to be minus 10. Next, we've got 2 lots of y and we've got 2 lots of minus 3. So 2 lots of y is going to be 2y. 2 lots of minus 3 is going to be minus 6. And there we have it. And that's going to be your first mark. So you've got 2 marks there. So the next one, what we've got to do is we've got to do 5y and then we're going to add 2y. So 5y plus 2y is going to be 7y. And then we've got minus 10, take away 6. Now the way we deal with negative numbers is we think about a number line. So the first number we come across is minus 10, which is down there, and then we're going to take away 6. So that's going to go down to minus 16. So it's going to be 7y minus 16. A lot of people struggle with that negative one. The next thing is if we've got powers. So we've got m to the power of 5 times by m to the power of 3. Now in this case, when we've got a multiply there, we add the powers together. So that's going to be m to the power of 8. Here, this line means a divide by. So p to the power of 6 divided by p to the power of 2. Just like when we multiply, we add the powers. When we divide, we subtract the powers. So that's simply going to be p to the power of 4. Again, it's dead easy, it's just 1 mark, but all of these marks will add up. So it's important to try and commit those to memory. Okay, question 13. On the grid, draw the graph y equals 3x minus 2. Now this is worth 3 marks. So again, these questions are worth a fair few marks. So what we're going to do, it says x values from minus 1 to 3. So we're going to set up a table. Whenever it says sketch a graph, always do a table. So I want x numbers and I want y numbers. And it tells us that our x numbers go from minus 1 all the way up to 3. So minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. So the way we figure out our y numbers, they're going to be 3 lots of the x numbers, take away 2. So 3 lots of 3 is 9, take away 2 is 7. 3 lots of 2 is 6, again, we're doing this thing here. 3 lots of my x number, take away 2. So 3 lots of 2 is 6, take away 2 is 4. 3 lots of 1 is 3, take away 2 is 1. 3 lots of 0 is 0, take away 2 is minus 2. Now it gets slightly tricky when we deal with negative numbers, so we never deal with them. Instead what we do is we just have a look at the pattern. Here we're going down in 3, going down in 3, going down in 3. So go down another 3, we're going to get minus 5. And then what we do is we, let's move the graph up a little bit, and then we plot them. So we've got 3, 7 as this first one here. So 3 across, 7 up, that's that point there. Then we've got 2, 4, which is 2 across, 4 up. Then we've got 1, 1, so that's 1 across, 1 up. And that's how they should start being in a straight line. The next one is 0 across, minus 2. So that's 0 across, 2 down. Again, make sure you do that one and not over there. That's a common mistake. It's always this across and then this up or down. So minus 1 across and then 5 down. And you should see that they line a straight line, which I'm going to try joining up. Not too shabby. Okay, so that's how you do that one. Again, whenever it says sketch a graph or draw the graph, what you've got to do is you've got to do a table of results like we have done up here. Okay, so Liz buys packets of coloured buttons. There are 8 red buttons in each packet. So 8 red buttons in each packet of red buttons. There are 6 silver buttons and 5 gold buttons. Liz buys equal number of red, silver and gold buttons. How many of each colour does Liz buy? So we've got 8, we've got 6, and we've got 5. And if we start doing this, 16, 12, 10, 24. So if we did the 8 times table, 24, 32, 40, 48. Then we're going to start getting some marks. That's going to take forever. So what we've got to do is we've got to try and find a number that both 8, 6, and 5 all go into. And so if we just start off with 8, and then we'll see whether or not 6 and 5 go into it. So 48, 56, 64, 72, 80. Now, 5, I mean, it's probably best to think about the 5. 5 goes into anything with a 5 on the end or a 0 on the end. 5 goes into 40, but 6 doesn't go into 40. 5 goes into 80, but 6 doesn't go into 80. So we're going to keep going. So 88, 96, 104, 112, 120. Okay, so 5 goes into 120. 6 goes into 120 as well. Because 10 lots of 6 equals 60. So 20 lots of 6 equals 120. So yes. And therefore we need, let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So it's going to be 15 packets of red buttons. 20 lots of 6 is 120. And we see how many times 5 goes into 120. Well, you got 5, so that's 1 lot. So 2 lots would be 10. So 20 lots would be 100. And then 21 would be 105, 110, 115, 120. So that's going to be 24 lots. Or you can just use your calculator and see how many times 120 can be divided by 5, which is 24. So 15, 20, and 24 are the answer for that one. Not the easiest of questions. And again, it takes quite a while to do. But that's how you do that one. But if you start doing this here, you just do maybe like 3 or 4 of each of them, you know you've at least got one of the marks. Right, question 15, that is tricky. So a car depreciates by 25% each year. So what we're going to do is we're going to find out what 25% of each of the numbers is. So it starts off at 4,800. So 25%, the easiest way to do this is just times by 0.25. And that turns out to be 1,200. So if we take that away, so this is at the end of 2013. At the end of 2014, we take away 1,200, you get 3,600. We want to know what it is at the end of 2015. So we've got to take away another 25%. So 25% of 3,600. So we times by 0.25, and that equals 900. So that's going to be 2,700. And that's that one. Question 16 is, Brian is X years old. So we've got Brian, who is X. We've got Peter, who's 4 years older than Brian. That's going to be X plus 4. Amy is 2 years younger than Brian, which is X minus 2. The total of their ages is 26. So what we're going to do is we're going to add them all together. So if I do X plus X plus X, that's going to equal 3X. And then if we add the numbers together, 4 minus 2 is going to be plus 2. And we know that adds up to 26. So then what we do is we take away 2, and we get 24 equals 3x, and then x equals 8. Now, a load of people had x equals 8, but a load of people didn't have the workings written down. What you need to do in these questions, a lot of the time they want, or they need to put the workings down. So we start off by writing down x as the first one, and then we write what's relative to that. So 4 more than that is going to be x plus 4. 2 less than that is going to be x minus 2. 2 lots of it would be 2x. So just be careful with that one. Okay, question 17. Make t the subject to the formula. So what we've got to do, we've got to do w take away. So we've got w equals 3t plus 11. We need to get t by itself, so we need to get rid of this plus 11. So we're going to take it away. So w take away 11 equals 3t. We don't want 3 lots of t, you just want t. So we've got to get rid of this times by 3. And the opposite of times by 3 is divided by 3. So w minus 11 divided by 3, and that's it. So t equals w minus 11 all divided by 3. Okay, question 18. So write down the mode. The mode is the most common one. So there are 2 people that had 0 badges, 8 people had 1 badge, 4 people had 2 badges, 3 people had 3 badges, 5 people had 4 badges, 3 people had 5 badges. So most people just had the 1 badge. So the mode is 1. Now the way we work out the mean is we need to multiply them together. So 0 times 2 is 0, 1 times 8 is 8, 2 times 4 is 8, 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 5 is 20, 5 times 3 is 15. And then what we've got to do is we've got to add those up. That's going to be 35, 46, 54, 62. Have I done that right? 35, 44, no I haven't, sorry, 44, 52, 60. That sounds a bit better. So 60. And then you need to add the total frequency. So that's going to be 10, 14, 17, 20, 25. So the mean is going to be this number here divided by the total frequency. 60 divided by 25. And if you need more practice on this one, there is another video that I've done on RescorlaMaths. So if you type in RescorlaMaths GCSE revision, and then no, not compound interest, estimating mean, then you'll find this video. So 60 divided by 25, that equals 2.4. Now the next one is quite tricky, and this is looking at people that are going to get the really, really high marks. And if you want to be one of those people that needs the high marks or wants to get the high marks, then this is the one that you've really got to pay attention to. So there are 15 older girls in the guide group. The mean number of badges gained by these 15 is 4.4. Work out the mean number of badges gained by all the girls in the guide group. Now, the way we work out the mean is we do the absolute total divided by the number of, in this case, guides. So there are 15 older girls, and beforehand, when we added up the frequency, there was 25. So in total, that is 40 guides in total. Now, when we multiply these together for the number of badges, we had a total of 60. So there were 60 badges from these girls here. And if it says that the mean number, okay, so let's put a pin in that for a second. 60 badges. Now it says the mean number of badges gained by these 14 older girls is 4.4. So the total there, remember the mean equals the total divided by the frequency. So we got 4.4 equals the total number of badges divided by the 15 girls, and that's what gets 4.4. So therefore the total must be 4.4 times by 15. So 4.4 times by 15 is 66. So the total number of badges that these girls got is 66. And again, think that through. 66 divided by 15 is 4.4. So therefore, 15 times by 4.4 is 66. So these 15 girls had 66 badges. The other girls, the 25 girls, had 60 badges. So in total, that's going to be 126 badges. Now, there are 126 badges, and in total, there were these 15 girls and the other 25 girls. That's 40 girls. In order to work out the mean of the whole group, you need to do 126 divided by 40, which equals 3.15. Now that is going to be a tricky one, and I don't think it's beyond anyone. All you've got to do, though, is just try and look at why it works and how we usually find the mean. Okay, now again, this one was done poorly, and we've got to work out the volume of the prism. So what we've got to do is we've got to work out the area of the flat shape here. We've got to multiply it by how far back it goes. So the first thing we're going to do is break the shape down into 3 separate rectangles. Now we know that this is 3, and this is 3, so that's 9 across. That one there is 9 by 2, which is 18 centimeters squared. This is 6 across, because you've got 3 here and 3 here. It's going to be 6 by 2, which is going to be 12 centimeters squared. And this here is 3 by 2, which is 6 centimeters squared. So if we add those together, that's going to be 36 centimeters squared. And we've got that by doing 18 plus 12 plus 6. So that's 36 centimeters squared. That is the area of this shape here. Then what we're going to do is we're going to times that by 5. So 36 times by 5, and that equals 180 centimeters cubed. So again, the key thing there is to work out the area of the flat shape and times by how far back it goes. Okay, question 20. We've got a right angle triangle. So as soon as we get a right angle triangle, we think either Pythagoras or trigonometry. And there's no angle here, so it's got to be Pythagoras. Now Pythagoras is a squared plus b squared equals c squared, where c is always the longest side. So this one's a, this one's b. So a squared is going to be 14 squared, which is 196. So I'd write down that 14 squared plus 9 squared equals c squared. So that's 196. 9 squared is 81, and that equals c squared. The next thing we do is we add these two together. So 196 plus 81 equals 277. And then to work out what c is, we've got to do the square root of that. The square root of 277, again, it's a calculator paper. And we get c equals 16.6433 blah 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 blah. So one decimal place is going to be this here, And our next number tells us not to round it up, so it's simply 16.6 centimetres. And again, we've got a right-angled triangle, and so we think it's either Pythagoras or trigonometry, but this time we've got an angle, so therefore it must be trig. So the trig is so, ca, toa. Now the next thing we do, or the first thing we do really, is we label the sides. So the longest one, the diagonal one, is always going to be the hypotenuse. Now one of them's going to be the opposite, one of them's going to be the adjacent. Now the opposite is the one that's opposite the angle, which is this one. A is this one, but we're not going to bother writing that one in because it's not involved in this question at all. It's just O and H. So what we do is we have a look and see which of these triangles involves O and H. There's no H in the bottom one, so let's get rid of that. There's no O in this one, so let's get rid of that one. So the remaining one has both O and H in it. So what we've got to do is we've got to work out what the opposite is, because this is the side that we're looking for. So we cover up the O, and we end up with O is S times H. So write down that the opposite equals S, which is sin of the angle, times by H, which is the hypotenuse, which is 32. And that's it. So you do sin 60 times by 32, and you end up getting 27.71281292. This is the correct three significant figures. Always have a look at this bit here. You don't want to drop a mark. So three significant figures, put them in the box. And the next one tells us we're not going to round it up, so it's simply 27.7 centimetres. Okay, and moving on. Expand and simplify is the next one. So expand and simplify, if you've got a bracket and a bracket, you've got to use a smiley face method. No other teachers use different methods, but smiley face one is the left eyebrow here, which is p times p, which makes a p squared. The right eyebrow, which is 9 times minus 4, which is minus 36. We've got 9 times p, which is plus 9p. You've got p times minus 4, which is minus 4p. And that gets you one of those 2 marks. The next one is for simplifying the nose and the mouth, so that simplifying the p's. We've got p squared and we've got the minus 36. But now we've got to do 9p, take away 4p, which is going to be plus 5p. That's it. That gets you the 2 marks for this one. Now this one is quite a tricky one. We've got, the thing that makes this one tricky is the fact that we've got this divided by 3. So to get rid of the divided by 3, you need to multiply the other side by 3. So 5w minus 8 equals 3 lots of 4w plus 2. And then we multiply out the brackets like we would do normally. So 5w minus 8 equals 12w plus 6. And we've got more w's on the right, so we're going to collect them on this side. So we've got to get rid of this 5w. We've got to get rid of this plus 6. So we're going to take away 5w, and we're going to take away 6. If we do that, we get, take away 5w's from here, take away 5w's from here, we're going to get 7w. And minus 8, think about 0, minus 8, and then we're going to take away 6. And if we're at minus 8 and we take away 6, we're going to go down to minus 14. So 7w is minus 14, so 1w, if we divide by 7, it's going to be minus 2. So we've got w equals minus 2. Now, next one is factorise. So this, again, is a factorise question, so it means put it into brackets. Now, this looks like it should be 1 bracket, but it's actually 2 brackets. Because there's no number that goes into this one that's also into this one, and there's no left that goes into both of them. But what you notice about this, this is x times x, and this is 7 times 7. So what we do is we do 7 times 7 is 49, and then we have plus 7 and then minus 7. So that plus 7 minus 7 is going to be 0, so it's going to cancel out any x's. So this is what we call the difference of 2 squares, and it's really is for the A grade candidates, also as was the A grade candidate. So now the grade 8 and the grade 9 candidates to spot. And that's when it says factorize, if the only thing that's similar about the two things is the fact they're both something times by itself, then we've got to do this, which is the difference of two squares. Okay, so the next one is we've got made it a little bit bigger here. So we've got 9x to the power of 8 y cubed, and that's going to be the power of a half. Now, the power of a half actually means a square root. So the square root of 9 is 3. But then what we do is we multiply the powers. So 8 times by a half, or half of 8, is 4. So it's going to be x to the power of 4. 3 times by a half is going to be 1.5. So it's that. So when we deal with this, the half means the square root. So that's going to be the square root of 9, which is 3. And then we multiply the powers. So 8 times by a half is 4. And then 3 times by a half is 1.5. So this here is our final answer. Again, it is really quite tricky. Question 23, another very hard question. Simultaneous equations. Now, the thing that you've got to do with simultaneous equations is get the second letter the same. I know you can do it by getting the first letter the same, but if we concentrate on always getting the second letter the same, it makes it easier. Now here, the second letter is the same. Now, if they're different signs, so this one is minus 2y and this is plus 2y, we need to add them together. If they were both plus 2y, then you do the bigger one, take away the smaller one. This here, we've got a minus 2y and a plus 2y. So what we do is we add both these equations together. So 3x plus 7x is 10x. Minus 2y plus 2y is 0. 7 plus 13 is 20. So that's the first thing we do. We add them together and we get 10x equals 20. So if 10x is a 20, 1x equals 2. And then what we've got to do is we've got to substitute that into either one of the equations to try and work out what the other one is. So I'd always substitute it into the positive equation. So we know that 7x plus 2y is 13. So we now know that x is 2. So 7x is 7 2's is 14. So 14 plus 2y equals 13. So then if we take away this 14 from both sides, we get 2y equals minus 1. If 2y is minus 1, 1y is minus 1 over 2. Now that is a tricky question. So what we've got to do for solving simultaneous equations is make sure that you get a value for x and a value for y. And we do that by going back to the start, making the second letter the same. And then if they're both positive or both negative, we take them away. If one of them's minus and one of them's plus, like we've got in this question here, we add the two equations together. Okay, question 24. So we've got to make m the subject to the formula. So what that means is we need to get m equals. So we've got to get rid of both this 6 and this squared. So we're going to get rid of the 6 first, so we're going to divide both sides by 6. To get m squared equals k divided by 6. And then the opposite of squared is square root. So m equals the square root of k divided by 6. And that's it. If it makes it easier, think about km squared equals 600. How do you find out what m is? First of all, we're going to divide by 6. So you get m squared equals 100. And then m is going to be the square root of that. So that's going to be 10. The way we did that is we divided by 6 first of all, and then we did the square root. Okay, next one is standard form. Now standard form always looks like something point something times 10 to the power of something. So that's something point something. The first thing here, something point something. If you have a look at this number, it's going to be 3.7. So 3.7 times 10 to the power of something. Now that something, that power there, is going to be how many decimal places our decimal point moves. So it's here at the moment, and it's going to go 1, 2, 3. And because it's going backwards, to make a 0 point number, it's going to be the power of minus 3. Okay, so now we're going to have 4.9 times 10 to the power of 10. So this power means how many places it's going to move. So let's stick in a bunch of zeros here. It's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. So it's going to jump in there. Therefore, our number is going to be 49,000. Let's carry on. Okay, the next one is to work out this value here. So what I would probably do is 500 divided by, then I'd work out 250 times 10 cubed. So it's going to be 250 with 3 zeros on the end. And I'll do that on the calculator. So 500 divided by 250,000. And it says on the calculator 2 minus 0.3. Now some calculators say this, others actually say 2 times 10 to the power of minus 3. And this is your answer. Okay, so this one, the diagram shows a solid made from a hemisphere and a cone. Now what you've got to do for this one is you've got to have a look back at the page which is given to you in your exam, and what I'll do is I'll see if I can get that page up. So if I pause the video briefly. No, I couldn't get it up on screen, but what you've got are 4/3 pi r cubed for the volume of a sphere, and the volume of a cone is 1/3 pi r squared h. Let's take the sphere first of all. Now what we've got here is a hemisphere, which means we've got half a sphere. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the hemisphere, which is 4/3 times pi times radius cubed. Now the radius here is 4. It's going to be 4 cubed. Then we've got to times that by a half, because this is the volume of a whole sphere, like a whole ball. We only need half for that. If we type into our calculators, pi times 4 times 4 times 4 divided by 2, and we get 134.0413. Now we've got to do the volume of a cone, which is 1/3 pi r squared h. Now h is going to be the height of the cone. But notice that this is 14 centimeters for all of it. It's going to be this height here plus that height of the ball. Now we know that the radius of the ball, or hemisphere, is 4, so it's going to be 4 all the way down there. So this height here is 4 centimeters, and that's what most people, I don't think anyone got. So therefore the height here, the red height here, is going to be 14, take away this 4, leaving you with 10. So the cone equals 1/3 times pi times radius, which is 4 squared, times by the height, which is 10. So if we do that, we get 167.552, or 16, sorry, 16. So if we then add those together, we get 301.593. To 3 significant figures, it's going to be 302 centimeters cubed. Again, that's really quite tricky. But again, all I want you to do, you don't need to understand it perfectly now. You're only in year 9. Just see if you can see what we went through step by step, and see if you can understand the reason why the height is 10. And all the other things you're doing is just recognizing that 4 is the radius and just substituting numbers into a formula and typing them into the calculator. And also, just see whether or not when you type into the calculator you can get that. So if you can get these numbers, then that's pretty much all that you need to do. Okay, moving on from that one. Again, it's a very, very tricky question. Cumulative frequency. We've got to find the estimate for the median. Now, cumulative frequency here goes up to 140. So that means that's going to be 100%. So the median is going to be 50%. So that's going to go across at 70. Go across at 70, and then go down. I get that there, which for me is about 43 minutes. Estimate the number of girls who revise for more than 30 minutes. So what we do is we go up from 30, and then we go across, and that's about 50 there, which means that above 50 this distance here, it's going to be 90. So there are 90 girls who revise for more than 30 minutes. Box plots about the times in minutes. 140 boys revise for the same exam. The lower quartile of the girls is 22, lower upper quartile for the girls is 56. So what do we say? The median, what do we say the median was? 43. Okay, so the median for girls equals 43. And we've got to compare the distributions for the distribution of the times of the boys. Right, so what we've got to do is whenever we've got to compare box plots, we do two things. First of all, we compare the median. Now the boys' median is 50, and the girls' median is 43. So we say that boys' median is higher. Therefore, boys spent longer revising. Of course they do, because boys care more. Of course, that's a joke. My apologies. Now, the other thing that we've got to do is we've got to compare the interquartile range. So the interquartile range is the difference between the upper quartile and the lower quartile. So the upper quartile is 56. Take away the lower quartile, which is 22. So 56 take away 22 is 34. So the interquartile range for the girls was 34 minutes, and the interquartile range for the boys is the difference between the lower quartile here and the upper quartile, which is 30. So we say for the interquartile range that interquartile range is bigger for the girls, which means the interquartile range is how spread out the data is, which means that the girls' data is more spread out. And that's it. Whenever you compare two box plots, it's always the median and the interquartile range that you compare. Okay, and then finally, you'll be delighted to hear, we've got to draw the graph of y equals 1 over x for the values of x from 1 to 7. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to do y equals 1 over x and y. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Again, this gets us easy marks. So the y value is 1 divided by x. So 1 divided by 1 is 1. 1 divided by 2 is 0.5. 1 divided by 3 is 0.33. 1 divided by 4 is 0.25. 1 divided by 5 is 0.2. 1 divided by 6 is 0.1666, so 0.17. 1 divided by 7, I believe, is 0.14. So then what we need to do is we need to plot them. So let's go for this one first of all. 1 across, 1 up. So that's there. 2 across, 0.5 up. Is that one there? 3 across, 0.33, which is right there. 4 across, 0.25, which is there. 5 across, 0.2. 6, 0.17. And 7, 0.14. So, there. And then all you need to do is you need to join them up with a nice smooth curve. And that's it. That's y equals 1 over x. And once you've done that, that is all of the things that we've looked at this year. So well done. And now you've got to make sure that you go through and do all your corrections and get 100% and then hand your exam in. Thank you very, very much for getting all the way to the end. And what I would love is if you could like and subscribe, or if you could subscribe to the channel, So that way, over the summer holidays, you'll be able to get loads of sort of little snippet videos, just 1 or 2 minute videos that really will make the difference and help you move from whatever grade you are now up to grade 3, grade 4, grade 5, grade 6, maybe even a grade 7 and 8. And who knows, we might even have a couple of grade 9s in here. But best of luck, boys and girls. Thank you very much, and subscribe.